Namaskar. Please join me in a prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhave Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good evening, everyone. At the very outset, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Professor Akshayananji and his extremely dedicated team who made it possible for me to be in conversation with all of you. The topic for today's conversation is COVID-19, lifestyle, and yoga. 21st century has begun, and begun with a bang. Just 2 decades over, and we were dreaming of entering into a new domain of artificial intelligence and what not. But here we are, face to face with the worst kind of pandemic of human history, COVID-19. COVID-19 is not just a biological pandemic, as per my perception. It's a pandemic which is let loose at the emotional level. It is a pandemic which has been let loose at a political level. It is a pandemic which has been let loose at the administrative level, geographical level, educational level, religious level, humanitarian level, as well as at the spiritual level. We are finding it difficult to deal with the situation. We are at utter loss, not only biologically, but at all the other fronts also. Now, if we go by as to what happened, we thought we were developing, but this transformation which has been brought about suddenly to the mankind is something which makes us all to ponder as to what happened. Where did we go wrong? We thought we were developing. But what went wrong with our development? I somehow always feel that development and transformation both are very dicey words. Not necessarily what we consider as development is actually taking us towards positive direction. Not necessarily how we are getting transformed is definitely going to get us to the positive direction. These are the questions of lifestyle. Our emotions are challenged, our biology is challenged, our medical science is challenged, our social system is challenged in face of this pandemic. Now, this is what lifestyle is. It's essentially a lifestyle challenge. Somewhere perhaps we faltered in our lifestyle. If we talk about biological pandemic, then when we go by the Vedantic concept of human personality, then our Annamaya Kosh and Pranamaya Kosh both are challenged. The body is suffering, and so is the breathing, which is the vital energy for the survival of the humans. So that means that this pandemic has challenged our outermost layers of personality or being, that is Annamaya Kosh as well as Pranamaya Kosh. Emotions are challenged. Emotional upheaval is there. We are in distress. The entire mankind is in distress. Our emotions are unstable, perhaps the most during this phase. Manomaya Kosh is challenged. Our entire social system, economic system, political system, administrative system, communication system, and in nutshell, our entire educational system is challenged. That means Vijnanamaya Kosh is also challenged. Humanitarianism is under threat, and so is the spirituality of mankind today. We are not experiencing that eternal bliss. That bliss is missing. Anandamaya Kosh is also under challenge. So that means that we must address to this lifestyle challenge which we are facing. And herein, I wish to introduce the eternal science of yoga. Yoga, which actually has taught us nothing but the lifestyle. How to live life, that is the only and only objective of yoga. It's a way of living life. It's a way through which we take care of the lifestyle which we have to adopt. And who else better than Maharishi Patanjali is there to guide us? Maharishi Patanjali, when he starts his Yoga Darshan, he says, At Yoga Anushasanam. Now we need to stop here and understand that what is the great Rishi trying to tell us. At Yoga Anushasanam, here begins the discipline of yoga. So yoga is not just an ordinary science. It is a discipline. And discipline always calls for an effort. Epitome of discipline being self-discipline, which essentially yoga is leading us to. So, if it is a discipline, then the Rishi was kind enough to give us a hierarchical order of practice also, which is popularly called as Ashtanga Yoga, 8 ladders of yoga. And ladders, they are hierarchical in nature. Beginning from step 1, we have to travel our journey, we have to traverse our journey to the highest step. Quickly, I will go through those 8 steps, they being Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. If Samadhi is the pinnacle of glory according to the being in yoga, then the beginning essentially has to be made from the yamas. In the second chapter of Yog Darshan, Maharishi Patanjali in the 30th aphorism describes the yamas. Yamas are nothing but the way of living in the society. So the Rishi wanted that before we graduate on to the other ladders, the first ladder which we have to begin with is the art of living not just by yourself, but the art of living in the society. Society is a must for humans, and the rishis and the sages of the ancient era, they knew it. And that is why Maharishi says and gives us 5 yamas. Ahimsa satya aste Brahmcharya aprigraha yamaha. The 5 yams, the 5 must-dos for living in the society with restraint, they start with ahimsa, non-violence. Now, what is non-violence? It is not just that when you do not exhibit physical violence. It starts with the thoughts. Antekaran is the seat for the origin of violence or non-violence. So it is at that internal subtle level where we have to face this challenge of being loving, not being hurting to anyone, even in our thoughts, because it is the thoughts which lead us to the action of violence. So the first principle, social restraint of Yam, Maharishi says is ahimsa. Then the second one he says is satya, truthfulness. Now truthfulness usually is being expressed through our speech, Vani. Now what should be the level of our speech? The scriptures say that do not speak that, or in other words, do not practice that which is not true. But at the same time, do not be unpleasant. So the conditions are there because it is a discipline. You have to speak the truth, but at the same time, the truth is not to be hurting. So do not speak untruth, but at the same time, follow whatever is benign, whatever is not hurting. Untruth is not to be there. But it at the same time does not have to follow the practice of violence. Anything which is hurting but truthful is not to be practiced. And that brings us to the third level, that is aste. Aste is non-stealing. Again, right from the thoughts that whenever we are eyeing someone, now look at the society in which the problem of big data and the stealing of the big data, it is nothing but aste. We have to abstain from stealing. Whatever is ours, we should be dealing with that. We should be content with that. Problems arise when we want to have something which belongs to others. Again, the beginning is at a subtle level which is being manifested through our behavior. So aste, and then is Brahmcharya. Usually Brahmcharya is translated as abstinence. Sexual energy is to be preserved. The reason being that sexual energy is the highest kind of creative human energy. So if sexual energy is to be preserved and conserved, so that the reason being that there is no wastage of energy, that there is conservation of energy at all the levels of energy production. Sexual energy, of course, being the highest level of production. And lastly, the last yama is aparigrah, that is non-hoarding. One of the Nobel laureates in economics once commented that India has a beautiful principle of aparigrah, that is non-hoarding, following which the entire mankind can solve its problems of want. Nobody will ever sleep hungry. Nobody will ever go untreated with COVID or whatever disease it might be, just only if we followed aparigrah, non-hoarding. It has perhaps been exhibited highest during this pandemic, the lifestyle malady which we have followed. We are addicted to the principle of hoarding, which is essentially against aparigrah. So these 5 social restraints in the name of yamas, after we practice these, then we have to graduate to the personal observances. Certain principles which we have to follow at the individual level. First and the foremost is that we must know how to live in society. Once we have learned that, then we must know how to live for ourselves. That is the personal observances, niyam. And Maharishi Patanjali in the 32nd aphorism of the 2nd chapter of Yoga Sutra says, Shauch Santosh Tapa Swadhyay Ishwar Pranadhanani Niyama. 5 niyams have been listed, and they being Shauch, cleanliness. Again, today perhaps we are realizing the importance of outer cleanliness, which definitely is going to go from the inner cleanliness. Once the inner side is pure, the outer side definitely will be pure. The cleanliness will essentially be maintained at the outer level once we have mastered the art of being clean from within. Your cleanliness is not to add on to the dirt of others. And this is precise problem which the entire civilization today is facing. Our urban waste, our nuclear waste is a problem for us. We do not know how to deal with it. And had we practiced Shauch, we would not have been brought to this situation. Then Santosh, being satisfied, that is another thing which is important. That are we satisfied? Unfortunately, we are not. We are asking for more and more and more, be it the physical possessions or be it the abstract possessions, be it the realm of knowledge, be it the realm of things. We are just not satisfied. Santosh is missing from our lifestyle. And then is tapa, hard work. We are a generation of remote control management. We have become a generation of artificial intelligence. Not only our physical body is being put to disuse, but soon we are marching towards the disuse of our mental capabilities also. The robots are going to take over. Leading unto what? I leave the question for you to answer. And then, after that, the Rishi says, is Swadhyay. After climbing these 8 small but otherwise very large steps, we have to introspect, Swadhyay, self-introspection. Learning every moment has to be the moment of awareness. Awareness is not to be lost. I remember while visiting the hills, there is often a caution that you miss on to the awareness and attention, and accidents will happen. Same is the case with human life. Any moment of non-awareness is definitely going to get us into trouble. So, the Rishi says, Swadhyay, every moment has to be the moment of examination that did we do right? Are we on the right track? Even after attaining the pinnacle of glory, we have to remember that we should not falter anywhere. And having accomplished all these 9 steps, the Maharishi says, Ishwar Pranidhan. Submit to the authority even when you have become so knowledgeable and so accomplished that you can have all these 9 attainments. Remain humble. Learn the art of submission and subjugation, which perhaps today is most difficult to find. One nation is vying with the other nation for supremacy. Nobody is ready to surrender. And it is this grand art of surrender to the will of the final truth, the Brahm, the Brahm, which has to be learnt. And once we adopt this lifestyle, which is essentially yogic lifestyle given to us by the grand gurus of the ancient ages, who never claimed that this knowledge belongs to them, I don't see that there can be any problem, pandemic or non-pandemic, which mankind cannot face. With these words, I shall like to take leave from the audience. Thank you so much, and please join me in just the Shanti part. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.